On this episode of Hot Rod Hoarders, we dig a 1966 BSA chopper out of a shed, a true survivor from the 70s. So this is just another one of those deals that fell into our laps. I had actually gone over to Tim Dixon's shop. It's called Gas Axe Chop Shop. He builds choppers, he builds hot rods, he builds custom vans, custom trucks. Anything that's got metal attached to it, he can make it, he can build it. And a very talented guy. And he's got a ton of projects. I'm talking about like 50 vehicles around his shop of different levels of completion that he's fooled with, that he's just bought to trade on, just different types of things. And I'd actually gone over there to look at an 84 Camaro, and he told us about some of the other stuff that he was trying to sell. And the one that just stood out, it was like my eyes went straight to it, was this 1966 BSA chopper. This thing, it perfectly matches our collection of cars. It's rough, it's got old paint, it's got old chrome on the wheels. It's just the right amount of patina to match the other junk that we fool with on a regular basis. So we couldn't really see it very well. It was kind of packed in with a bunch of other bikes, but we knew it had potential. We knew that this thing was right for us. And when he mentioned the price, it was a no-brainer. Not saying that he gave this thing away, but it was cheap enough for us to add it to our collection. And, again, most of our stuff is just conversation pieces when it comes to our drag cars and things like that. We're not going to ride this thing across country. We're not going to ride it to Daytona to Bike Week or anything like that. It's going to sit in my dad's garage. It's going to collect a little bit of dust. We're going to talk about it. We're going to show it off. And we'll either turn around someday and sell it, or it'll just be a fixture of our garage like all the rest of our junk. The cool thing to me about this bike was that mechanically it was in pretty good shape. Now, cosmetically it needs a little bit of cleanup, it needs a little bit of work. If you're wanting to make it shiny, we're not going to do that. We want it to have this patina. But as far as mechanically, Tim had told us that a year or two ago he had a guy get it running again. And, since then it just moved into the shed. It hasn't moved since. And, he's ready to move on from this project and let somebody else fool with it. So that was something, that was a feasible project for us. If this was a basket case, I wouldn't have much interest. But the fact that it looked like we could spend a little bit of time on this thing and get it running again, that helped me go ahead and make the decision to buy it. Now, once we got down to the price, we also noticed a really cool sidecar in the shed. And this thing, it's cool. It is in perfect shape. Somebody has spray painted a little stripe on it, which could totally be sanded and buffed off of there. But otherwise, this thing is really cool. And it's just got a unique look to it. It was built by Doug Bingham. And this guy was an AMA Hall of Famer. He raced motorcycles with sidecars. And he built sidecars for a living for many, many years. He built a bunch of these things. This one, according to the serial number, from what I could tell, it was probably built in 1970. So we got a package deal on the chopper and the sidecar. After that, we got this stuff home. We kind of got a better look at this chopper because we could stand back and really eyeball the proportions. Everything on this thing is just awesome. It's got a hardtail frame. Somebody's done some really good work as far as the welding and all that stuff on the frame. It's got a Springer front end that's stretched way out. It's got perfect tire and wheel combo as far as sizing and all that. It really looks good. It's got a good stance to it. It's got the old handlebars that kind of come back in here, in your face a little bit. It's got a Sportster style tank. The engine itself is a 650cc engine. It was called a Lightning that had 2 carburetors. It was a pretty good running motor for back then for a British bike. And other than that, this thing was really simple, like a dead simple setup, something that anybody could work on. One of the coolest things about this bike, even though it's not a survivor piece, it's a new piece, is a seat that Tim's wife Angie made for it. She does upholstery work, and this thing is outrageous. It's huge, and it's got a purple inset that is just like amazing. You would want to build this bike around this seat. Like, if we had intentions of fixing this thing, it would have to be purple to go with this seat, because it is just an awesome piece. So once we got it over to the shop, we took a look at everything on the engine, the charging system, and all that kind of stuff, just to see kind of what we're up against to try to get this thing running again. And what we found was that most everything looked complete. Everything Tim had told us, I mean, everything was clean. Carburetors looked like they had recently been gone through. Had a few new pieces of wire here and there. The coils were good. Everything was good. So on these bikes, they've got a little button on the carburetor, and you push that button down, and it's priming the carburetor. So you push it down till you get a little trickle of fuel coming out of it. So you prime the two carburetors, pump the gas a few times. We gave it a kick, nothing. Pumped the gas a few more times, another kick. We made it to about the fifth kick, and this thing fired off, and it just ran on that little bit of gas that was in the carburetor.
Go ahead and shut your thing off and let that battery get up a little bit.
We really wanted to get this thing running and riding again, but like many of our other projects, they get a lot of interest on social media. Anytime I post, people ask about the price, ask if it's available, and this thing is not something we planned on keeping forever. So as interest built up, I didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time and a lot of money trying to get the thing to where it would ride around the block. I know that'd be rewarding and fun, but as far as money goes, it wouldn't really benefit me all that much. So we were pretty pleased with it just kicking off and kicking over. That was kind of a win for us. The plan for this thing is for it to find a new home very soon. Either way, we had a real good time fooling with it and looking at it and studying on it. Of course, had a good time with Tim. He showed us around to some of his other storage sheds and buildings and stuff, and we got a really good view of his collection, and that's something I'm going to show you in a future episode of Hot Rod Hoarders. I'm going to really dig in and show you his whole collection, everything outside, everything in the barn, everything in the sheds, and everything in his shop. So stay tuned for that, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I post every Friday, new video every Friday, but hit the subscribe button anyways. Go ahead and hit the notification bell. That way you get a notification every time we post. That's it for this one, and I appreciate you watching.